TIL. That anxiety and depression can cause physical pain. When something bothers me for a while, I feel it in my back between both shoulder blades. Feels like I was stabbed in the back a really long time ago, and what I am feeling in the moment is a lingering of the pain, like an achy joint when it rains. That. Or I feel a grip in my chest. Like, someone is clenching the muscles around my heart. Not like I'm having a stroke, nor is the ache limited to just the surface. Feels more like stones weighing in my heart. But, I have friends to spend time with, so, I got that going for me, which is nice. Crippling anxiety is literally that. I'm far better now, but 2 years ago, I wouldn't even be able to walk straight. My stomach would knot itself so tight if I had to leave the house. Occasionally I'd still actually have to do things, like shopping for food. Which wasn't as bad as day-long issues like funerals, or my university exams, which I ended up missing a few and failing in for things that took a whole day. I'd often have bloody stools when I got home. Wait till you learn about the downward spiral, where psychosomatic symptoms like extra heartbeats cause panic attacks and the permanent fear of heart attacks and experiencing it over and over again. A little extra heartbeat, or a little pain in your head or in the muscles between your ribs, able to ruin every good moment you experience. When you cannot not notice your heartbeat at any given time, when it's quiet or you try to sleep and your life changes forever. Yep. When I had severe depression, it felt like I was being dragged underwater and there was a pressure on my whole body that caused me to not have the energy to move or even want to respond. When I had a few real panic attacks, it felt like I was physically having a heart attack and I felt like my throat was closing so I couldn't take a deep breath. I've learned to more or less control that feeling before it starts, but it is truly terrifying. Pretty bizarre. This notification popped up at random while my wife and I were discussing her recent pain symptoms, and her doctor today just told her the same thing. She suffers from severe anxiety, and in the last few weeks she's been in pretty constant pain. She's leaning toward fibromyalgia. We were just talking about how it doesn't matter if the pain is psychological or physical, it's still pain. Then the phone dings and it says this. I can vouch for that. I was married to a serious alcoholic for 16 years. She had no desire to stop. Daughter hit 13 and we bailed. She fell when drunk and hurt her neck and back and is in a wheelchair now. Migrated from beer to straight vodka as it was easier not to have to urinate so much. The anxiety and depression gave me so much pain, all the tests for things that were never there. Pain subsided after the divorce. One of my warning signs from my depression getting worse is my knee hurting. I've had arthritis in it since I was a teenager, had a tear that didn't heal well from surgery. Or it could mean there's a pressure change coming. Or that I have been on stairs too much, the cruel bastards. Or that I sat with my legs crossed for too long. Usually day 2 is how I tell the difference. If it's the same, it's depression. I have both. Been to the ER 3 times for chest pain, went through a year of stomach pain that couldn't be diagnosed with every test imaginable, and back pain that is exaggerated by stress. My physical symptoms have gotten much better ever since I switched jobs. I realize that money means nothing if it is causing you so much pain to the point where you can't get out of bed. I'm starting to wonder if stress, anxiety and lack of sleep caused my seizure a few weeks ago. Now that was some scary shit. Now my back has been hurting since my seizure. My legs cramped up so bad during that I had so much pain in my calves that it was difficult just to move around, let alone walk, for about a week. Interestingly, painkillers like Tylenol and Advil can reduce emotional distress. They also reduce the amount of empathy you feel for others in pain or distress. The brain processes your and others' physical and mental pain in the same place, and painkillers dent that accordingly, for better and for worse. My depression at its most acute symptomatic is me got my ass kicked level body aches to go with the horrible stomach issues. My anxiety is much less of a pain physically, which I've always thought is interesting, lots of muscle aches, cramps, appetite issues, and headaches, but all very manageable. My depression feels like my heart is broken 24/7. That sucking vacuum, hive of bees, roller coaster feeling in your chest. It actually hurts, and it never goes away. I can't even experience loss correctly because this is how I always feel. Add on exhaustion, soreness, headaches, stress kills. I've had quite a few panic attacks, the physical symptoms are brutal and I have almost passed out from not being able to breathe. Shit's terrifying. Added other symptoms include full body numbness, chest, neck, back pain, headaches, migraines, uncontrollable shaking. For sure, it can manifest in some pretty terrible ways. Migraines are probably the most common form. Stomach pains, chest pains. The list goes on. That's why it's super important to try and manage stress levels. Things like exercise and meditation are huge for me. I believe it. The first thing I noticed when I started my antidepressants was I wasn't waking up in pain each morning. Things still hurt, but they were specific pains from actions I could remember doing rather than waking up and just feeling achy and sore. Man, I'm going to ask my therapist about this. I've had intermittent horrible back pain for years and am bipolar. The back pain has always been a bit of a mystery because I am really active and otherwise totally fine. I wonder if that is psychosomatic. Anxiety feels like missing the last step on the stairs, but the feeling doesn't go away. Feeling like that constantly is obviously going to take a physical toll. Especially if it affects your sleep and all you get is a few hours of junk sleep a night. Blows my mind how people are still struggling to figure out how these mental health conditions can cause a variety of physical symptoms. Are there not scientific researchers and doctors suffering from depression themselves? Lol. Inability to breathe, non-asthma above average lung capacity caused by accidental hyperventilation. IBS when very nervous, headaches, nausea, cramps. All fun little anxiety symptoms. Not to mention memory loss. I had pretty bad depression when I was a teenager, and while it wasn't the physical pain per se, it felt like my brain was wrapped in saran wrap and all I wanted to do was peel it off and let the fresh air in. It can be felt like somebody kicked your ass in a fight without a reason. It's horrible. My back hurts quite bad, and not just because age, and sometimes the whole body aches. Painkillers are my friend. That weird feeling deep inside your stomach when you feel bad is so weird it hurts and makes you feel like you have to puke. If it gets worse, I get a fever and an extreme headache and chest throat pain. DX with major depression with schizophrenic disruptions. Also suffering chronic migraines, chest and joint pain since I was 16 years old. Things didn't get better until modafinil and Paxil took over. I've had PTSD with depression and anxiety as the major symptoms since I was 11. I've had issues this whole time with aches and pains, but I didn't know there was a connection between them. My stepdaughter was just in hospital for 2 weeks for anxiety-related illness, couldn't eat without throwing up and the eating made her feel sick. It was a vicious circle she got stuck in. My anxiety can give me quite severe panic attacks that gets my heart racing, almost painfully, and sweating profusely. From common contained to a sweaty mess in less than 60 seconds. Between the depression and my rheumatoid arthritis, it feels like I'm living in that 4-6 range on the pain scale. Then the meds affects one thing then another. It sucks. Edibles help. Welcome to the last 20 years of my life. Physically healthy for a slightly overweight middle-aged man, but constant pain that no scan or medication can help. MDD, GAD, bipolar 1. I have such a fear of heights at a certain point. My body starts to hurt. Starts in my feet, then hands and spreads. I'd assume this is a form of anxiety, or at least related. Essentially, anxiety puts you into a hyperarousal state, changes your sensory system into a high-gain antenna. It picks up everything and your brain doesn't deal with it well. Sure does. It's only gotten worse since I had COVID, and I wouldn't be surprised if I fucked around and developed fibromyalgia or rheumatoid arthritis at this point. Yepers. Pro-life tip: if you ever get your heart broken hard, take some aspirin. It's not a cure, but it will give you some footing to get out of that painful state. Wait, what? I've been severely depressed much of my life, and I don't feel pain? I feel pretty numb, and empty, but physical pain? Maybe only if I'm crying. I waited over 30 years to get on psychiatric medication. It completely changed my life. I wish I'd done it when I was young. If this shit was even available. I've suffered from anxiety all of my memorable life and can guarantee you anxiety has a physical effect on the body about the same as high blood pressure. 2 years ago I had chest pain and went to the ER. They said my blood work was phenomenal. Nothing was wrong with me. That was measurable anyway. I had a heartbreak when I broke up last year. Needless to explain that each time I was crying of sadness, massive chest pain would come along. I've got MDD and anxiety, and it's messed me up. It's hard to even get off the couch a lot of the time because I always ache or I'm nauseous. Pain can be a common symptom and sometimes a good indicator of an anxiety disorder, particularly generalized anxiety disorder (GAD). I've had depression my whole life and occasional bouts of anxiety. I can tell you for sure both of these cause physical pain for me. I remember reading where anxiety can cause tense muscles and tense muscles can cause anxiety. Anyone know if that's true? Not only physical pain but chronic stress, anxiety, depression will jack up your system and can trigger all kind of problems. If you've lost someone and think of a great memory, it can be a very painful chest feeling. Some say broken hearts can kill. Truth warning canon, it sucks, I hope you get help. Saying that, I know it's not that easy and I love you all. There's a gut-brain connection too, so depression and anxiety could be causing gastric distress or stomach pains. They are also physically exhausting. Some days it feels like I'm wearing weights on shoulders and legs. Till people didn't know that these diseases have physical symptoms. They can be quite brutal. My hands and feet hurt as a combination of restlessness and pain. I'm very familiar with it. It's a deep pain that you can alleviate. Yes, it can. When I'm in the middle of an episode, my whole body hurts, and then after decades of it, it can cause chronic health issues. Yeah, I had chest pain and more frequent migraines when I was at my worst. I bet a constant low-grade pain can cause anxiety and depression. It also causes digestive issues. The gut-brain connection is real. I call them physical manifestations. They are definitely real. That explains why merely existing hurts so much sometimes. I felt physical malaise on par with the flu for a few months. VA over here going shut the fuck up. Reading Healing Back Pain by John Sarno was life-changing. Yep. You could have asked me and I would have told you. It's all in your head. My brain is an organ dummy. Diarrhea is a pretty common side effect from anxiety.